Hello and welcome to Starside Cafe. Today we are taking a look at the brand new game mode for Destiny 2, Gambit, because it's the free weekend for Gambit, so we've gotten a chance to take a look at it and play some of it. Joining me is Aaron Capo.
Hello.
Hello, and I am Zach Owens, and yeah, so what do you think of this game mode?
So we played... How many games do we play? So I didn't know this. Each game consists of 3 rounds, and it's best of 3.
Yeah, it's a best of 3.
But I think we played 3 or 4 this afternoon, the morning rather.
Yeah, maybe it'll help if we break it down for anybody who's like not been paying attention to like the live streams and all of that to know what exactly this game mode is, but it's basically this sort of really creative mix of like PvE and PvP that sort of combines a lot of elements into one pretty fun mode. It starts out with this like coin flip to determine like which enemy AI you'll be dealing with. And then it goes into this thing where you like stare down or you can like emote to the opposing team. And then basically if you break down the game mode to like its most base level, it's like a race to see who can bank 75 motes the fastest to summon the primeval and destroy it. And the primeval, from what I could tell, was just like a collection of like big taken enemies that you needed. Like, I think all of them needed to be killed in order to actually finish it, or maybe it was just like one boss. And then,
yeah, I also am not sure about that, because it seems like regardless of the race, so when he flips the coin, he's saying like, oh, it looks like Fallen are going to be on the field, or oh, it looks like you're going to have Cabal this time.
Which, by the way, he's totally Matthew McConaughey, because he's like, all right.
All right. Let's see what we've got. Cabal on the field.
Yeah, it's a weird character.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, but anyway, you were saying?
Yeah, so like that determines what like the waves of enemies are, and then the primeval is like a big, like, for instance, the Cabal one was like a big Cabal guy, but it seemed like regardless of the race, it always spawned with 2 envoys of the primeval, which were just taken wizards.
Yeah, they were like big taken wizards, and like sometimes there would be like an ogre there or something.
So what the basic premise is like, so you're on a side of the map and the other people on a side of the map, and depending on, so let's say it's the Fallen that you're getting, it'll say like, oh, Fallen are at the beach, or like Fallen are at the ruins, and you're taking out that race, and when they die, you're picking up their motes that they drop.
Yeah, they all drop motes. And
you bank them in this central core, and the other team is also banking in a central core. And if you bank a certain number, I think it's like 5 or above, when you bank something, their bank closes and a taken enemy spawns in their area, and that's called a blocker.
Yeah.
And they have to kill the blocker before they can bank more.
Yeah, so it's an interesting sort of game you're playing where you're like, okay, I've got like 5 motes right now. Do I like chance it and try to kill some more enemies and collect more motes?
But you could die and lose all your motes.
Exactly. So, like, the max you can carry at one time is 15, and if you get up to 15 and you bank all of those at once, you'll summon this, like, big taken ogre that's, like, really tough to deal with and takes time to clear. And, of course, if you have, like, stored up 15 motes and they, like, have already banked theirs, then you can't deposit them until you deal with that ogre. And, of course, on top of that, to make things even more complicated, is that at certain, like, checkpoints along the way as you're banking your motes, you'll get the opportunity to, like, jump or teleport to the other team's, like, side of the map or whatever, where if you, like, kill them, of course, you can... This is where, like, the PvP element comes in, and you can sort of... mess them up by, like, I jumped over once and I was like, oh, there's a guy who's holding 15 motes, because you can see it's sort of like telling you above their head, it has the count of how many motes like each player is holding. And so I was like, I'm gonna kill him so that they drop all their, like, the guy that has the most motes, so that's the guy I'm gonna take out. And so I killed him, and then they couldn't deposit those motes, and so I think also if they've summoned the primeval, when you kill them, it like adds health back onto.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a few little things going on there. It gets fairly complicated, but it starts making sense as you play it. But yeah, we had a rough match where like some people left us, and so it was just you and me against like the other team, and that was a really rough time. So they might have to do something about like matchmaking and make it so that players can add mid-match in case somebody drops or whatever.
So what are your overall thoughts on this? We should do thoughts and then strategies.
Okay, so first off, thoughts. I really liked it. I had so much fun with it, and I would definitely play it again. Like, I kind of can't wait to play it again already. I don't know, is it going away? Like, it's only up for the weekend?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically going away for a day because it'll be it's live for 24 hours, and then Sunday, Monday, it's not there, but then Tuesday, Forsaken launches. So
yeah, and we should say you don't have to have pre-ordered Forsaken to play this. This is like the free weekend is free for everyone. Now, once like it'll go away, and then once Forsaken drops, then I think you do have to have Forsaken in order to play it. But like just for this weekend, and the game is free. I don't know if we mentioned that, but September on PS4 anyway, it is the free game of the month. So, I mean, you'll probably have to do some grinding, I would imagine, in order to get to a point where you're like high enough level and have enough gear to be able to play this effectively.
You know, that's a super good point, because I remember in Destiny 1 when Taken King came out, they had the spark where you could just get, you could spark your character and automatically be at starting light level to start doing Taken King stuff, but they didn't have that this time around.
Well, I want to say they might have something similar once Forsaken drops, but you're going to have to own Forsaken. Like, just for the purposes of this, like, free weekend, though, I feel like you're going to have a character who's, like, ready to go. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting game mode, and I think it's definitely worth it because it's so much fun. I can definitely see myself playing this again and again. And
More so than Crucible?
I don't know. I kind of enjoy Crucible. It's been interesting to get back in since they've changed like the weapon slots. It has a much more like Destiny 1 feel. Yeah. And so that's been interesting to play some recently, but I do think that like I get kind of frustrated with Crucible after a while, and I think this will be a really nice change of pace.
I agree.
Because it is like it is a PvP mode in a sense, but it's also sort of a PvE mode. It's sort of like a horde mode, but like way more interesting, I think.
I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think light levels matter in this, or do you think it's zeroed out like in Crucible?
Well, so that's what we're not sure of right now. Like, you and I were speculating this the whole time we were playing, and that maybe we were having trouble because we weren't like up to like max light level, but it seemed like we were able to take out the other team, although granted we were probably using supers, so I don't know, there's that to consider. But
that's something I want to talk about. I think the most fun part of it, and it feels like the hacking thing from Watch Dogs almost, because when you drop into the other side and you invade their game, like it says, oh, an invader is in your area, but you don't show up on the map, so they don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And so there's this time, especially if they're on the other side of the map, where you're sort of just like sneaking a little bit and trying to get into a good area to pop your
especially if you have 15 motes and there's a blocker, you're kind of like on the edge of your seat, like, oh, there's somebody coming, and they're probably going to come for me, so I better be on the lookout. They do glow red, so, and you'll see that on your own screen as well. If you do jump over to the other side, you do glow red. But you're definitely not marked on the map, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
You're just, I mean, you're a red marker on like the radar, but so is all the other enemies, so it's not like they can like necessarily pick you out if they're just looking at the radar.
There were a couple of times though where I would hop over and I had my super, I had like a golden gun ready to go, and it was so satisfying. Even if I just killed like one or two people, I felt like I was really helping the team, and it just like it was very visceral to like sneak up on somebody and golden gun them. Yeah. More so than like Crucible.
Yeah, that's true. I had a couple of times, like the one time I mentioned before, I think I only got the one kill that time where I like took out the one guy who had like max number of
Yeah, that was great.
Which was really cool. But then I had a couple of other times, like there was a couple of times where I was able to kill the entire team, and that feels really good. Especially like the first time I did it, I didn't even have my super available. I was just like sneaking around with my sword, and I just so happened to catch them all off guard. But then there was a couple of times after that where I had my super, so I was like, okay, for sure I'm going to go over there. But even that is a thing that you kind of have to think carefully about and strategize. Like, is it going to help my team more to like use my super on our side of things to like clear out a huge wave of enemies and collect motes, or to
kill
like,
the primeval?
Yeah, or to kill the primeval, or to take out like a taken ogre if they've blocked your console or whatever. Or is it going to be more beneficial to save it and then jump over to the enemy side and use your super to take out all of them?
Well, that leads perfectly into the next part, which is strategies. Like, what do you think? Like, definitely, I almost feel like going over to their side when your primeval has spawned is not a good idea. You should all be focusing on your primeval.
Well, so yeah, the question there is, do you focus on your primeval, or do you try to go over there and mess with them so that they can't take out their primeval? It's sort of like, is, a good offense also a good defense, where you're like,
I don't know.
Because killing them will add health back onto the primeval. So in, I guess, like a really close game where you guys are pretty much neck and neck, it might be a game changer to send somebody over there to like take out the entire team, because one, it adds health back on, but also it like stops them from attacking. So it's
I think it's a percent. Like, I think if you kill one person, it's some percent, but if you kill all of them, that's always going to be primeval is back to full health.
Oh, really?
I think so, because I think I saw one time when we were, it was one of the times we lost, but we were very low and they were very low, and then our team, like, somebody ran over there, killed all of them, and their primeval was back to, like, topped off.
Oh, really? Well, so that's interesting. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's true.
It is sort of a thing that as we play more of it, we'll, like, learn the best strategies, I would assume. But for now, it definitely seemed like you need to sort of focus the primeval, because we did lose where it felt like it was maybe two of us, or like we kept dying over and over again, and I would just like look up, because on the top part of the screen you can see where there's like a bar and some numbers to tell you how many motes you've banked, but then once the primeval is spawned, it'll show you sort of the primeval's health bar. And I just literally watched as the other team just like drained that health bar so quickly that there was nothing we could do to stop them. So I guess if you like really focus, if you've got some supers to burn on the primeval, that's probably the best way to go. But even before you get to that point, like the early part of the game, it's probably best to like save up to 15 motes. So
that was another thing, because I was speculating when we were playing that maybe a good strategy, if you had 4 people and you're all talking, is to split up into pairs, and like both pairs focus on killing people, but only one person in each pair run out and get motes. So that person gets to 15 way faster, then they run and bank, and the other person starts collecting motes, as opposed to 4 people killing. Because I feel like when I was playing, especially when we weren't talking to our like 2 people, like I would kill people, like spend some time running to get the motes, and then someone else would run and get the motes right before me. So I think definitely managing and calling out people who should be collecting motes at any given time will improve your efficiency as a team.
That's true. I feel like the teams that are going to win are going to be the ones that are talking and coordinating and saying, okay, I'm going to go pick up the motes, and then they'll get to 15 much faster, whereas if everybody is just sort of running around trying to get up to 15 at the same time and nobody's like being careful about stealing somebody else's motes.
What do you think about weapon composition?
So I flipped around quite a bit, or tried to, and realized I didn't necessarily have the weapons I wanted. We're also not max light level, so maybe that's part of it. But
I don't know. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, it's true. We don't know for sure that matters. That would be a good thing to find out if you could just like not necessarily be scrambling to try to find your highest light level weapons and just sort of use whatever. But I use Sunshot for a lot of it just because it was one of my highest light level guns, but also I've been enjoying using that weapon a lot, but it also like the explosives on it, I thought it would be good for like crowd control for like some of the smaller enemies, but it's not like great for PvP either. So you kind of also are weighing that in your mind as you're selecting what like weapons you're going to take with you, because you kind of have to think, well, what's going to be good against, PvE enemies and what's going to be good against PvP. Which I guess if you're just like using your super or like a rocket launcher or something, you're probably fine. But like I used for most of it, I used a shotgun in my kinetic slot, and then I used Sunshot and a rocket launcher or a sword. I flipped around a lot between those.
So you're a warlock. What exotic armors do you think would help out in this?
I need to go over the exotic armors a little bit more. I think the one I was using, I forget what perks it has on it. It's a helmet that I think like kills with energy weapons, or make it so your grenade reloads faster. I thought that would be beneficial. Plus, it was just one that I conveniently had on me at the time, so I didn't need to like transfer anything. So. What about you? What was your kit for most of this?
So I was doing a hunter, and what I should have been doing, what I read later, is that Orpheus rig is really great for this because you are almost guaranteed another shot because like the enemy population gets super dense, especially like mid and late game. Yeah, the waves get so crazy, and so I think Night Stalker with Orpheus rig is very helpful. And then I don't know, I was running with Mida for a while, and that was good for just like I would post up on a rock and just start helping killing ads and let everyone else get motes. Something else I found, I went over a couple of times, and when I didn't use my super, I had the Colony grenade launcher. I think like drum barrel grenade launchers are good because they fire fast and have explosions, but also the Colony specifically has those little spider legs, and so you can just like fire a volley off where a bunch of them are, and they'll just like make a beeline for people. So I think the Colony is really good for this, especially if you want to stay far away from the enemies.
Yeah, that would be really good. And then also I feel like Wardcliff Coil might be a good one as well.
Yeah.
Because it like splits around and goes and does a lot of little explosions. So you could probably take out like a small mob fairly easily that way.
I think also, I mean, I was running a little bit, I had a shotgun in my secondary, because you can do that now, for most of it, and I found that to be extremely useful, especially for those, like, yellow health enemies that start spawning that drop, like, 5 or 6 motes when they die. You can just run up on those and blast them with a shotgun a couple of times.
Yeah, that's why I found I was relying on my shotgun an awful lot, because like you said, the enemies, especially like later in the game, will start spawning more and more, and so you end up being pretty overwhelmed by just the number of enemies, and a lot of them later on will be yellow bar enemies, so you kind of do need like more powerful weapons. And like maybe it's just because I'm not a great sniper, but like you're in pretty close quarters for a lot of it, so a sniper rifle didn't seem like the way to go. Telesto might be a good option. I hear that's doing very well for people right now in PvP. I don't know if it's necessarily great for PvE, but
what's that arc submachine gun?
Arc? Oh, yeah. I forget the name of it, but that would be a good option as well, just because it like chains arc damage.
Yeah, and I feel like you're running around so much. But yeah, Telesto, I think, is also a super good idea.
Yeah, so that would be, well, especially when you face the Primeval, because doing like crit damage does, or you can like chain that or something, or it stacks or something like that. Anyway, I don't know. You got any other tips?
I think it is beneficial to play with at least one other person if you can, and to sort of like watch each other's backs. I think it is good. I feel like that's a good strategy, that round robin strategy, where like only one person is collecting motes, and then they run and start banking, and then you start collecting motes, and then like they help you kill, and then you bank. Because I think that'll get you up to 15s, like the heavy taken ogres a lot quicker. But I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen. But definitely, it was very fun, and I am excited to play more.
Yeah, in theory, I think you're right. That is a good strategy. I don't think we did a great job of sticking to it, but yeah, that would be...
It gets so hectic, you just forget what you're doing.
It's true. You just kind of concentrate on killing whatever's nearest to you after
Especially
a while.
when someone else like invades your side. It's just like all your plans go out the window because you start like watching every corner and waiting for them to come around like as a titan with a hammer.
Yeah, well, and that was the other problem, is there were a couple of times where an enemy would invade our area, and like I would find him before he saw me, but I didn't have like a super or power ammo to deal with him. So yeah. I was just kind of like trying to avoid him.
It seems like they have a little bit more shielding when they come over, but I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah, I don't like when I go over to their side, I don't feel like I have extra shielding, but there was definitely at least one time where I thought I could have done a lot more damage than the game awarded me for hitting him like point blank with like a shotgun or something. So, who knows?
But yeah, overall, it was great.
Overall, yes, very, very good. A lot of fun. And I think we're going to be playing a lot of this over the coming weeks. So
keep your eyes on our channel because we'll probably be doing a lot more Destiny videos this coming week with the release.
Yeah, so stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.